Auburn and Kentucky get set to do battle Saturday night on the Plains. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game between the Tigers and the Wildcats. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, before we get going, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. We are inching ever so close to that 30,000 subscriber mark. We can't do it without your love and support. Also, guys, make sure you check out our friends over at FANDUEL because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FANDUEL, FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get in on the action today. You know, they say there's points in the season where you come at a crossroads. You come at an inflection point. That feels like that might be the case here for these two head coaches. For Auburn, you've got the curious case of Hugh Freeze, a team that came into the season with sky-high expectations of the college football playoff, only to realize we're flipping the calendar the month of November, and those dreams are long gone. Meanwhile, Kentucky, hey, basketball season starts Monday, or are you going to be more focused on fixing a football program that has fallen off a cliff? Either way, we're talking about this game taking place Saturday night. It's Auburn, it's Kentucky at Jordan Hare Stadium. Hello, everyone. As always, I am Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, and one of the best in the business, Mr. Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, my friend? Appreciate you taking the time. Excited to talk about this game with you? Is that a good way to put it? I'm just, I don't know. This one's going to be interesting for a lot of different reasons. This one's flying under the radar and is sort of getting buried on the SEC slate. But the result of this one could help shake up the SEC even more than it already is.
Brother, you know how I am. Every single game in college football is a blessing. It is a gift. It is something that we get to relish on. And even the crappy ones that have no sights of leaning towards a college football playoff berth or a ranked appearance. So I'm still going to love this game. But you want to know what I'm going to call this game? The Black Monday game. Because somebody that loses this game is not going to make it to Monday. They're going to be shown the door either when they return to Lexington or when they walk off the field in Jordan Hare on Saturday night. The loser of this game, their head coach is getting fired. Both head coaches, I think, will not be at their same schools next year. But you're buying yourself some time. If you're one school, the other one, I think, is just going to rip the Band-Aid off and say, guys, unfortunately, writing's on the wall that we got to make a switch. So who comes out on top and just does enough to stay alive one more Saturday? Black Monday coming down to Jordan Hare Stadium.
Black Monday in a month that'll feature Black Friday. We're getting this thing started off on a hot note again as the calendar flips to the month of November, and that is the case, guys.
Either way you view it,
or a dark
note, whatever.
Hey, it depends on how you look at it. Saturday, November 1st, 6:30 Central Time kickoff on SEC Network down there in Auburn, Alabama at Jordan Hare Stadium. Bear, via our friends over at FanDuel, Auburn is a 10.5-point favorite. The over-under is set at 44.5. Auburn leads the all-time series 28-6-1. And the last meeting, of course, came last year. Auburn won that game by a final score of 24-10. You mentioned it, Cole, as we talk about this game, and I think that is the top storyline of this game is just, you know, the winner of this game gets to feel good for a week, but the loser, more so what it means for them. And I agree with you, more than likely both these coaches are on their way out, or are they? And I say that because, hear me out, and I know you've heard this same chatter as well because you've got your ear to the ground all across the league like I do. Talking with some of our mutual Auburn friends, I will leave it at that. There is this feeling for whatever reason that if Hugh Freeze is to win out, which is highly unlikely, but if they are to win out, that maybe there are some in the Auburn community, a.k.a. boosters with influence, people with influence, that feel as if 8-4, the refs screwed us over. Maybe Hugh Freeze gets another shot. Again, this is a super, super long shot. And I would agree with you. Lose this football game, it's the end of the road for Hugh Freeze. That's it. Whether he is fired on Monday or he's not, I think it'll be an understanding like this was the final nail in the coffin. This was the thing that puts you out of your misery. For Mark Stoops in Kentucky, again, Bear, I think it's interesting. Like I said, basketball season's on Monday. That's what they're fired up for. Mark Pope and the boys are getting going. You got to think Kentucky. Listen, I know the expectations aren't super high there, and you're always going to be a basketball school, but you're paying Mark Stoops $9 million a year, and to put out the product that he's putting out. So I say all that to say, Bear, I don't think you're wrong. this game is essentially going to determine the fate of both of these coaches. I think even win or lose for both sides, you could label this as the dead men walking type of ball game here. Dead men walking bowl, because both these head coaches are dead men walking in my mind.
With Mark Stoops, the problem is that every single loss kind of tarnishes your legacy and what you've been able to build in Lexington. And the fact that you're not wanting to pay some bit of a mutual buyout that doesn't give you the entirety of your money, but also still allows you to kind of go out on your terms, has soured the relationship, I think, out in Lexington. They know that they need change. They know that what's not working for them is not going to be fixed by just having another year of Mark Stoops. And we're watching the on-field results, close games against Texas, close games against Ole Miss, not able to get the job done. You got to turn the tide. I think that this is one of those moments where damn legacy, we own the program. This is our identity as an athletic staff. If we constantly continue to lose, Mark, we're letting you go. You can decide on how you want to handle business. For Freeze, again, there are people out there, whether or not it's right or wrong, whether or not you believe it to be true, or that you think that because of you get a few calls go your way, you win a football game. There are boosters that say the Oklahoma officials screwed us. We should have been winning that game out in Norman. And then we got screwed because of the touchdown play by Jackson Arnold. We should have beat Georgia. And instead, we're looking at a 2-loss team going into this matchup. And maybe they would be fighting for top 25 ranking. Maybe they would be fighting for a potential, sleeper pick into a 9-3 season. And 9-3 would be a very good year for Hugh Freeze. Just like last season when we talk about it, how many one-possession games Auburn lost because of the turnover margin, we'd be talking about Hugh Freeze in such a different light. But knowing where this roster is, knowing that offensively there hasn't been a full-on spark from Kentucky, knowing defensively they are a liability in coverage, they allowed far too many explosive plays in the open field, you make a quarterback switch, all things that should benefit you, and you're playing at home. Losing this game, it just feels like there are some things that we can settle on. We can accept if you lose to Vanderbilt this year because Vanderbilt looks really good. We can settle on the fact that referees decide to go ahead and call a game for us. This is Kentucky. Like Kentucky and Mississippi State, we can't be the reason why they're sitting with a win in conference play. We as a program are too prideful for that. So that's why it's really important, I think, for Hugh Freeze to just get this win. Because again, there are people who, if somehow you beat Alabama, you win out against Vanderbilt, 8-4, I don't think it's going to save his job. But there will be people who will fight to give Hugh Freeze one more year.
Bear, the big storyline on the field in this game, what does Auburn do at the quarterback position? Jackson Arnold benched last week in favor of Ashton Daniels. He came in, went 6 of 8 for 77 yards. Obviously, the defense was the big talking point in that comeback win against Arkansas, but very curious to see which direction Hugh Freeze goes when it comes to quarterback.
I think he'll go Ashton Daniels. I think at this point, you got to go ride the hot hand. I mean, either way, this is going to be one of those games where I think you trust the ground and pound attack. What are we going to know about the status of the wide receiver room? Because just out of curiosity, do you remember if Cam Coleman came back in that game against Arkansas?
I am not 100% sure.
I don't believe he did. So what's his status going to be in this matchup is really important. Defensively, again, Auburn was able to go ahead and pick apart Taylon Green in Fayetteville. That put them in a position to where they just need to rely on that. I think from a quarterback standpoint, you got to get the guy that's not going to put the ball in harm's way. And Ashton Daniels, he's not much of an upgrade when it comes to being a passer. He offers the same amount of value, I think, as a runner when it comes to Jackson Arnold. But Jackson Arnold threw a pick 6 right before halftime that extended Arkansas's lead by 2 scores. So I think at this level, you got to ride with the safe hand. Even if you think that Jackson Arnold offers you a little bit more high volume, he offers you a little bit more consistency, he gives you a little bit more open field space as a runner, there's just some things that he does to put the ball in harm's way. On the flip side, though, this may end up being the Cutter Boley game. Cutter Boley, for Kentucky, he's been very impressive in his last 2 starts. Now, some of the numbers that we saw against Tennessee came in garbage time, but regardless, he had a 5-touchdown day. In his last 2 games alone, he's had 6 touchdowns against 1 turnover. And in the last 3 games, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, all ranked teams, he's gotten better. Completion percentage has gone up. Turnover rate has gone down. Yards per attempt has gone up. All the little things that you want to see from a quarterback that gives you promise that he may be a part of your long-term future. He's shown you that. So from a quarterback standpoint, I'm going to be leaning in favor of Cutter Boley to have a better day than Ashton Daniels. But at the same time, I'm looking at 2 defenses. One is elite. One is a very, very, very talented going to keep you in every game type of mentality defense. The other one is an eyesore that you just don't want to look at all.
Yeah, that was a big question for me for Kentucky Bears. Can Cutter Boley do it again against this defense? He's had success over the last 2 weeks. Last week, especially against Tennessee, throws for 335 touchdowns, like you mentioned. Can he do it against an Auburn defense that, again, for all their struggles, this has been the strength of the football team? So I question whether Kentucky will be able to move the football with that same consistency. I think running the football for them is going to be important. 146 on the ground a week ago. Again, you mentioned Auburn, 220 against the Arkansas front. A little bit of a different challenge here with the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky's going to need guys like DJ Miller, Kendrick Law, those guys, those big-time playmakers on the outside to build off of what they did last week against the Vols. 223 total yards and 3 touchdowns receiving by them a week ago. So you're going to need those big-time players make some big-time plays on the outside. Cutter Boley, obviously, to follow up, have a big game. I just question, can he do it consistently against this defense? So
the thing I will say about this defense is the area of weakness for Auburn is its secondary. Auburn ranks 93rd in the country in pass defense, and I believe they're in the bottom 30 in explosive plays allowed. So this is, again, an area where Boley, who is going to have to, I think, win this game with his arm, building that rapport with guys like we talked about, Kendrick Law, throwing in a name potentially like a DJ Miller, getting Jamori Macklin involved, getting Josh Cass involved, making sure that they're downfield 15, 18 yards. That might be an opportunity to where you at least put yourself in field goal position to walk away with points. Because remember, they hung over 300 yards against Texas defense. They hung over 400 yards against Tennessee's defense. And Auburn's defense is not Texas defense. It's certainly better than Tennessee's defense. But are we going to be able to see that consistency where you get the rushing attack going a little bit to then be able to take your shots downfield? Because if you don't set up the run at any point, they're going to know that you're throwing it on every single down. They're knowing that you're going to be able to probably have a lot of one-on-one battles. That leads in favor of Auburn. And for Auburn, if you could jump out to a good 14-0 lead at that point, they can't run the football. I mean, you're telling them, you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with Cutter Boley, and that's about it.
Night game at Jordan Hare. Bear, curious to see what the environment looks like with, I think, most of Auburn Nation understanding as the calendar turns to the month of November. Pretty much every big goal that Auburn had coming into the season is off the table. But there's still the opportunity to fight for a solid bowl game, I suppose. And Auburn fans, some of the best in the business, some of the best in the country, they'll show up, show out, and support their Tigers. That being said, Bear, let's lock in some picks. Let's lock in some predictions. Would you like the honors? You want me to start first?
I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, so this is a game, I agree with everything we've said to this point. I think both these coaches are cooked. I think it's a matter of when, not a matter of if. I think both schools will make a move at some point. I think the loser of this game is, it's a ticking time bomb. What we've seen across the league in the SEC this year, nobody's safe, obviously. Making a midseason coaching change is not a big deal. I've always said money is not really real in the SEC. Like if a school really wants you out of there, they're going to find the buyout money. And certainly for Hugh Freeze, we all know the situation coming in, what the expectations were. I think most of us said 9-3 at least, 8-4 at minimum, and you've got to win out to achieve that goal, which, I mean, it's unlikely, but is still doable mathematically. I'm really curious what Ashton Daniels looks like at the quarterback position. I agree with you. Auburn needs to lean on the ground and pound. It gives me confidence in the fact that Kentucky defensively has not been able to do much of anything against anyone. This is not a good Kentucky football team, top to bottom. It's just they're not a good team. And if you are Auburn and if you are allowing Kentucky to walk into your house and give the Wildcats their first SEC win, Hugh Freeze should be fired by Sunday morning. Forget Monday morning. He should be fired within a 24-hour window. It should happen with the quickness. Get him out of there. Let's get a start on finding the next head coach. I think that's all well understood. I don't think either one of these teams is good enough to separate. It does look like, Bear, as of Wednesday morning when we're recording this, per Auburn folks, Cam Coleman is dealing with that ankle injury, so his status is uncertain. So we'll see if a guy, like a Perry Thompson can step up in his absence. All that being said, the spread is 10.5 in this game, over under 44.5 via our friends at FanDuel. I think this game, I have this gut feeling Kentucky covers. I do. I think this is going to be just a sloppy, nasty game. Two bad teams going at it. This is a stay away game for me from the gambling side. I think Auburn wins this game. I think Auburn protects the home field. Again, I give credit to Auburn fans. I think they're going to still show up no matter what, with it being a night game on the home field. Sloppy game, a little bit of an ugly game. Auburn uses ground and pound to outlast Kentucky. Cutter Boley, I think, throws in an interception or two. I think Auburn's defense is able to get the football off of him. I think they're going to make Kentucky a little bit one-dimensional. But I got to score Tigers 27, Wildcats 21, and maybe on the same day as college basketball opening tip, if you will, which is Monday, maybe Mark Stoops is getting the boot also. But I think Auburn wins. I think Auburn outlasts Kentucky. But again, just a kind of nasty, sloppy game, one that it's like a car crash. You don't want to watch, but you can't look away. Auburn 27, Kentucky 21.
See, there's some good games on Saturday night in the SEC. I'm still going to have this game on my television screen. I want to be watching. I want to see how one of these two coaches is able to fight their way through what is going to be a pressure cooker of events that potentially leads to their ultimate demise. I agree with you. I think that both these coaches are not going to be at their respective schools next year. Doesn't mean that they won't be coaching next year, just they will not be at Auburn and they will not be in Lexington. That's my stance on it. But you buy yourself some time and you give yourself another reason to believe that there still is hope that I can right the ship enough this season to put ourselves in a position where bowl eligibility is possible. We're maybe getting a few upset wins to kind of close out the year. We're ruining someone else's season. And that might be the case for a team like Kentucky. That might be a case for a team like Auburn to be able to handle these things. I look at the quarterback position. I think Cutter Boley is going to have himself somewhat of a promising day, because if I do get the weak point of Auburn is their secondary. I do think that if you can find ways and little creases in the second to third level of the defense, you can strike. And I don't think that Kentucky has elite weapons, but I think Kentucky has weapons that can win one-on-one battles and put themselves in a position where they're gaining first downs and they're keeping momentum at an all-time high. I think that is going to be really a big key for Kentucky. I think for Auburn's standpoint, it's just being able to find your way into the end zone. I mean, everybody has been able to score on Kentucky, minus one team, Texas. And Texas' offense is cardboard doo-doo, and yet they still found a way to win the football game. So it's possible to have a performance where you do not put up exceptional offensive numbers, but you do just enough to go ahead and survive. And you're surviving at home versus Texas playing on the road against Kentucky. I mean, like, again, Texas had to have its indoctrination of sweating bullets against a team that was inferior to you on the road. Auburn's been doing this for years. For me, this comes down to one major element. Which coach do I trust more? Auburn fans, I'm doing you a favor, and I'm saying that Kentucky's going to win this football game. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to say that Kentucky finds a way to march on in there, do just enough to be able to win this football game. I got a final score of 21-20. I think that this is quite literally a one-possession, one-point differential, and this is where John Cohen has to look at everybody and go, we have got to hit reset. I don't care what you guys are saying behind closed doors about officiating. I don't care what you're saying about him being able to recruit really well. This is not acceptable to the Auburn culture. So you think that I'm picking you to lose because I hate you, Auburn fans. I'm picking you to hit reset because you need to hit reset. It's never going to get better with Hugh Freeze. It's never going to get better with this organization and how they're running the program right now. You have got to be able to start fresh. I'll tell you what. This may end up being the John Summerall Bowl, because if there is somehow, some way, an opportunity for Kentucky to hire John Summerall, they will not live to regret it. I don't think Auburn wants to live to regret it either. So thank me later, Auburn fans. 21-20 final score. This has nothing to do with Kentucky, but I am taking Kentucky as one of my best bets. This has everything to do with Auburn finally realizing Hugh Freeze is not the right guy. Hugh Freeze is not the dude that we want to hitch our wagon to.
Yeah, Bear, in a way, I think a lot of Auburn fans secretly, deep down, if they were honest, they probably hope you're right. Hitting the reset sooner rather than later feels like a positive for the program. So there you have it. I'm going with Auburn. Bear is going with the Kentucky Wildcats. What say you? Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Love to hear your thoughts and your predictions for this game Saturday night at Jordan Hare Stadium. Guys, that being said, that's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet. Bet $5. If it wins, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, Whatever your style, FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season's here. College basketball's around the corner. Of course, college football's in full swing. NHL, NBA, you name it. World Series still going on. Guys, you got tons of action to bet on. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Guys, once again, that's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we go, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, all across your favorite social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. We're signing off. We appreciate you all tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all on the other side.